Hey guys, welcome. Today's practice is going to focus all on the low back. And I think similar to the way that we often approach the hips is sometimes when the low back's feeling a little stiff or cranky, just that deep stretch can feel really good. And while there's a piece of that that of course is beneficial, I think approaching it from that bigger perspective of finding a little strength, finding some mobility through the pelvis, and really getting all of those aspects that feel like they're supporting it and creating some space there. So we'll work with that today. If you have a couple blocks and a blanket or a pillow, you can grab that, have it handy. We're going to go ahead and start in child's pose. And then go ahead, take your big toes together and knees out wide, but maybe try this. Try not quite as wide as you would for child's pose so that when you come back, it feels a little bit more like the outer edges of your ribs are supported by the inner edge of your thigh. And so that we just give the back a little bit more support there. We're creating space as the knees come apart, but you're not just letting the ribs totally sink in between the legs. And here's a good place if you want a little bit more support behind your knees, a blanket or pillow if you have that, you can just slide it behind your knees and that can give them a little space if they don't love the deeper bends. Okay, and then as you're ready, you can bring your forehead to your mat or some support. Let your hips start to settle back. Bring a little activation through the tops of your feet, so press down. Find a little tone through your belly, but then some softness through your chest. Keep that and maybe crawl your hands forward just a hair more so we start to create a little length. And then just take a few fuller breaths. Start to settle into your breath, to your body, to your practice. Right. As always with our practice, but especially when we're targeting an area that can be sensitive for some of us, right, I just really invite you to listen to your body. Not every pose works for everybody. And so if something doesn't feel right, modify it, skip it altogether. Right? There'll be places along the way you can just stop and hang out there. And I'll offer a few places that we can have some really good supportive options or some places maybe to take it just a different place if that feels right for you. And so give yourself just a couple more breaths here to settle in and just see how your body's feeling today. And then you're going to keep your hips low and back. Walk your hands over to your right. Right? You might bring your hands shoulder width. Your thumbs might touch. Or you might even stack your left hand on top of your right. And then really let your left ribs roll down towards your left thigh. Invite the outer left hip down and back. And just start to breathe a little space into the left side body. As we think about low back, sometimes right at the center or the top of the hip, we want to get this whole band of not just muscle tissue, but fascia of connective tissue that wraps all around that space and into the side of the low back so that the whole part can be supportive and healthy. Good. Come on back to center. Take a full breath at center. I just love to reset in between sides. And then walk your hands over to your left. You choose what feels good for your hands here. It might be different side to side. And stay active through the tops of your feet, just so the legs have a little muscle energy. And soften your right ribs towards your right thigh. Take a couple of full breaths. Nice way too to create a little bit more space for the breath. As we open up that tissue between the ribs, really supports deeper breathing. And then with your next inhale, come on back to center. Again, just take a breath here at center. And then come on forward to tabletop. You may need to bring your knees in just a little bit so they're stacked under your hips. Stack your hands under your shoulders. And then just, or wrists under shoulders, really spread out wide through your fingers, right? So fan them out and then press down through your fingertips. Okay, cat-cow with your inhale, arch your back, look forward. And then as you exhale, really press down into your hands, draw your chin towards your chest, round through your back. Okay, start to link that with your breath, just joining breath and body today. Inhale, look forward, arch your back, right? Look straight forward, try to avoid head all the way up. It's not straining the neck to start with. Exhale, curve and round. And just start to find your breath rhythm wherever that's at. And see here if you can really focus on the movement of the pelvis, rocking forward and back. There's a lot going on. We're getting lots of good range of motion through the spine as we go. And just notice where you can bring your attention and how that range of motion in the pelvis feels, right? We're getting a lot of good movement through the low back here. So just starting to create that mobility. And wherever you're at, just take one more full round. And then when you're ready, come back to neutral, right? So neutral being not a big curve, not a big rounding, but what's that place in between? And neutral can be a little bit misleading sometimes, especially with the low back. We naturally have a little bit of curve in the low back. So we want to keep that, right? Flat back, neutral back often means keeping that hair of a curve in the back. And then tone through your low belly. So think you're pulling up the zipper on your pants. So you find that support through the core. Okay, keep that. Stretch your right leg out behind you. Flex your foot. Roll your inner right thigh up. And then even here, hug the outer waist in. So now like you're pulling the drawstring in on your pants. So we're supported again all the way around. Take a full breath in. And then with your exhale, bring your knee in towards your nose. And just like that cat pose, round through the back. Okay, inhale, lengthen it all the way out. And then exhale, curl and round it in, knee towards nose. Keep pressing through your hands. Inhale, lengthen back out. And so either stay here or stretch your left arm out in front. Take a full breath in. And then exhale, do elbow to knee. Join it underneath. Lengthen out, inhale. Curl and round, exhale. Good. One more time to stretch it all the way long. And then exhale, hand down, knee down. Take a couple rounds of cat-cow in between. Just feel the movement back through the low back, through the spine. And then come back to center. Get strong through your hands, right? And then think again that zipper, pull the low belly up. Drawstring, hug the outer waist in. Full support. Stretch your left leg out behind you. Flex your foot. Roll your inner left thigh up. That's going to help level out through the pelvis. And then take a full breath in. And with your exhale, knee towards nose, round through your back. Keep pressing through your hands. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, curl round. Stretch your leg long. Inhale, and then either again, keep your right hand down, a little more support, or reach your right arm out in front. Exhale, elbow to knee, or keep with chin towards knee. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, curl, round it in. Stretch long, inhale. Hand down, knee down, exhale. One more time, just take a couple rounds of cat-cow. Inhale. Exhale. Just starting to find too that cadence, the rhythm of your breath that feels good for your practice today. And then when you're ready, come back to neutral. Walk your hands forward, just about a palm print. Stay rooted and wide through your hands, and then stretch your legs up and back, downward facing dog. And I know sometimes here it feels really good to bend the knees or pedal out the legs. So if a little movement in your first down dog feels good, great, do that. And then as you come back to stillness, just find that anchor again through your hands. Really press especially through your thumb and index finger, and then roll the eyes of your elbows up. Press your hands down and forward. Stretch your hips up and back. So we're starting to get some length now through the spine. Your knees might stay bent. Your knees might always stay a little bent in down dog. Bring your heels towards the ground and zip your kneecaps up. Strong legs. Take a full breath in. Full breath out. And then you're going to go ahead and bring your thumbs together here. So keep your hands the same, right? They're both still fanned out wide, but your thumbs now are touching, and keep pressing down into them. Inhale, reach your right leg up and back. And then exhale, step your right foot outside your right hand. If you need to grab the ankle, help it along, do that. And then we're going to take a big step forward, left foot outside left hand. Drop your hips down to the ground. Bring your hands to your heart. Malasana Squat. So maybe a block or a couple blocks underneath your hips if you want a little support. A blanket under your heels if your heels are lifted sometimes. I'm not going to stay here too long. We'll use this as a transition, but set up what works well for you. Just a little alignment on this first one. Hug your inner thighs towards your outer arms. Lift your chest up and lengthen your tailbone down. Full breath in, gaze forward. Full breath out. And with your inhale, press down into your feet. Stand all the way up. Reach your arms up. Exhale, bring your hands together at your heart. You can keep your feet out wide. Sometimes that space is really nice for the low back. Reach up, inhale. Interlace your hands, release your index fingers, reach up. Your elbows might have a little bend in them, that's fine. And as you press down into your feet, hug your kneecaps up, lift your belly up, and then reach up through your arms. Inhale. Exhale, side bend to your right. And stay rooted through your left foot. All right, bring your right ribs forward until it feels like ribs are square. And then lengthen out, really let the left hip come out to the side again, getting that side of the waist, side of the pelvis. Inhale, come back to center. And then exhale, side bend over to your left. And really plant down through your right foot, left hip out towards the side. And if it feels like the left ribs are rolling way back, you just nudge them forward until it feels like ribs are square. Inhale, come back to center. Good. Exhale, bend your knees, squat, right? Just easing in before we take any deeper forward folds in the low back. Take a breath in. And then exhale, plant your hands, step back, high plank, top of a push-up. Right? And this can be really strengthening for the whole core, that whole area that wraps front to back, or it might be a little aggravating. For a little bit more support, bring your knees down. You're still working and building that, but maybe just easing into that a little bit more, right? Or if it feels good, knees up. Well, good might be relative, right? And then zip the low belly up, hug your outer waistline in, take another full breath in, right? Strong support for the low back. And then with your exhale, either with bent knees or straight legs, lower all the way down, point your elbows straight back. And then go ahead and reach your hands back by your sides, turn your palms down. Anchor down through the tops of your feet. Take a full breath out, lift your belly. Well, tone your belly. And then inhale, lift up your head, chest, arms. Exhale, lower down, strengthen the back. Inhale, lift up head, chest, shoulders. Exhale, lower. We'll do one more like that. Inhale, float up, stay. Right, for this first variation, keep the tops of your feet pressing down. Reach your fingertips back and hug your shoulder blades together. Inhale. Exhale, lower all the way down. Bring your hands by your ribs. Either come back through tabletop, maybe back up through plank. And as you exhale, downward facing dog. Okay, we're gonna do that same. Bring your thumbs together in the middle of your mat to touch, but keep your fingers spread wide and fanned out. Okay, root down here, press your hands down and forward, lift your hips high and back. Strong legs, even if there's a little bend in them. Keep that inhale, reach your left leg up and back. Think straight and strong, just like we did in tabletop. And then exhale, step your left foot all the way outside your left hand. Stay up on the ball of your back foot. Okay, so a few options here. You could stay right here, hands down. If you want a little bit more height, blocks underneath your hands. Wherever you're at, give a little squeeze of your inner legs. And if it feels like you want to come all the way up to crescent, come on up, reach your arms up, or even bring your hands to your hips. Right. With that hug of your legs, you're bringing that energy, that strength into the midline. And then you're going to invite the crease of your left hip back. And so we get a pretty good back bend here in Crescent Lunge. That might feel great for your back. You might decide to bend your back knee just a little bit because that might ease the back bend. Strong through the low belly. And then think tailbone points down towards the ground. And actually get there, just directional. So we're lengthening, creating some space in the low back. Right, from there, you can keep your arms reaching, keep the top part of the pose engaged as well. Take one more full breath in. And then exhale, both hands down inside your front foot, again, thumbs together. Take a big step forward with your right foot. Sink your hips, squat. Bring your hands together at your heart. Squeeze your inner legs in, lift your chest towards your thumbs, gaze forward. With your next inhale, press into your feet, stand all the way up, reach your arms up. Exhale, bring your hands together at your heart. Okay, reach up, inhale. Bend your knees, squat. Exhale. Full breath in. And then with your exhale again, hands down, right? Thumbs together. Lift your hips a little bit, step your left foot all the way back. So you're up high on the ball of your back foot. And then just like that first side, you might keep hands here. You might even bring blocks underneath your hands. Wherever you choose to be, then hug the inner legs. And stay there, or inhale, come all the way up. Reach your arms up. Or maybe bring hands to hips. So many variations to figure out what works best in your body today. If the right hip feels like it's coming forward, draw back. And then just see how the back feels here. If the back leg is straight, the left leg is straight, and the low back feels a little strained, take a little bend. See if that gives you a little bit more space. And then draw up on the lower belly and lengthen down through the tailbone. Good. Press into your feet. And if they're lifted, reach up through your arms. Full breath in. And then exhale, hands down to your mat. Right, this time, go ahead and take a hand on either side of the front foot. Step back, high plank. Right, just like down dog, hands strong and wide and engaged. And you either have knees up or knees down for a little bit more support. Keep drawing up through your low belly and outer waist in. Right, lengthen the top of your head forward. The chin can drop when things get hard. Full breath in. And then exhale again, either with bent knees or straight legs, lower all the way down. Sometimes that's for the support of the back. Sometimes that's better for the shoulders. Reach your arms back. Take a full breath out. And as you do that, zip up through your belly. With your inhale, lift up through your head, chest, shoulders. And then this time, either stay here or lift the legs up as well. Right, then we start to get the glutes and the hamstrings and the strength there to turn on too. Okay, squeeze shoulder blades in. Stretch fingertips back. And keep the back of your neck long. So in general, you're looking just at the front of your mat, right, instead of throwing the head back. Find that steady rhythm of breath here. And take one more full round. And then with your exhale, lower all the way down. Bring your hands by your ribs, and then either again through tabletop or through plank and back to down dog. And take a full breath in. Full breath out, root down through your hands. And then just slowly walk your hands back to your feet. Come to the back end of your mat. Now, for a lot of us, when the low back's feeling a little cranky, feet hip width feels better, but you're always welcome to bring your big toes together to touch. It also might feel way better to take a little or a big bend in your knees. And then take a hold of opposite elbows. Let your head get heavy, but strengthen through your legs. So from your hips to your feet, press down. That doesn't mean your legs have to be straight, just strong. Give a little squeeze of your inner legs towards center. Like imagine there was a block there. And then pull your kneecaps up. Right? They're not going to move a whole lot, but a great way to think about strengthening through the quads for support. And if it would feel better to have a couple of blocks, hands up on blocks here, that's another great variation. Might give you a little bit more support. Take a couple of breaths, right? Knees as bent or legs as straight as it feels right for your body today. And then bring your hands to your hips with those strong legs. Give a straight back. Inhale, come all the way up to standing. Exhale, bring your hands together at your heart. And then step your feet together. Take a moment for the blood flow to come back. As soon as you come up like that, head below heart. Things need to balance out a little bit. Okay, into some balance, it's also going to be core. So we're getting these great, like more intrinsic, internal core stabilizing muscles to turn on when we balance. Really good for the support of our spine and our back. And just a little outer core work with the poses that we're moving into. So stand into your left foot, bring your right knee up. And we're looking at moving just towards that 90-degree angle at the hip, the knee, and the foot with your foot flexed. Find a steady gaze point on the wall in front of you. And then root down into your left foot, lift your belly, open your chest. Take a full breath in. And with your exhale, take a step forward with your right foot. And as you inhale, lift your left leg up, warrior three. Now you might decide that just a little bit, right? Hover off the mat feels good. But think about it like this. The more you lift your leg, then the upper body comes forward. So that it really works like a pendulum, right? If your legs only lifted a little, upper body only comes forward a little. Right? You might work towards body parallel to the ground, just towards. You can keep hands to heart or reach them back like we did in that locust pose. And then flex your left foot. Roll your inner thigh up, right? Just like tabletop. Zip your low belly and keep your chest open. A lot working to stabilize. Remember your breath. And with your inhale, stand all the way up. Bring your left knee up. Right? So just like where we started before on the other side, bent knee, find those 90-degree angles. Root through your right foot. Tone belly, open chest. Full breath in. And with your exhale, take a step forward with your left foot. Inhale, lift your right foot, and again, so that might just be a little bit. And as you lift it, I think about those two pieces in relation, the upper body comes forward. Hands to heart, or stretch them back. Tone your belly. Hug your outer waist in. Roll your right inner thigh up. Keep your foot flexed. Full breath in. Full breath out. Your inhale, stand all the way up, bring your knee up. And then exhale, both feet down, hands to heart. Take a full breath. You're going to take a big step wide with your right foot. And if that doesn't work, if it feels better to step to the other side so you can see better, then you're welcome to do that too. Just you're in a wide-legged stance towards the side of your mat. And then turn your left toes forward, whether that takes you front or the back of the mat, doesn't really matter. Bend into your left knee. And you might even have to lengthen, like I feel like I need a little bit longer stance front to back, so I can really get my front knee over my ankle. It might even be a little bit behind. Just be mindful of it coming forward. Bring your arms out wide, inhale. And then either left elbow to left forearm, maybe to a block, or maybe your hand to your mat if that doesn't feel like you're straining, right? Favor your chest being open as opposed to trying to get all the way down to the mat. And then reach your right arm up and over. Okay, breathe, settle into your feet. A little hug of your heels in towards center. And then press into your outer left foot. And root through the pinky edge of your back foot. And then from there, really reach out through your right fingertips and create that length along the side waist. Maybe you can even roll your left ribs, right ribs up a little bit more. Strong legs, open chest, long side body. And with your next inhale, come all the way up. And then pivot your feet again to the long end of the mat. Bring your hands together at your heart. From here, turn your toes out, heels in, and then bend your knees, sink down to squat. And then start to organize your feet here too, so your knees are over your ankles and that your knees are tracking down the center of your feet. And so you can adjust that by turning feet in or out. It just kind of depends on mobility of hips. Sink low, hug heels in. And like we did before, lengthen down through the tailbone, but lift up through your chest. Soften your gaze. Find your breath. Good. Inhale, stand all the way up. And then turn your right toes. Right, so you're just going to go in the opposite direction if you're front of the back of the mat. You're just going to go straight forward, slide your left heel back just a little bit, and then bend your front knee. You have to shift the length of the stance, do that. So nice and long, but stable. Bring your arms out wide. And then right arm to right leg. Sometimes rights and lefts, right? And so forearm to thigh, maybe hand to block, maybe to the mat. And then reach your left arm up and over, bicep comes by your ear. Take a breath, just feel and settle into the shape. And then hug your heels in. Press down through the outer edge, the pinky edge of your right foot. See if that gives you a little bit more engagement up into the hip. And then through the pinky edge of your back foot. As you do that, really lengthen out through the side body, reach through your fingertips. Can the left ribs roll up a little bit more as the right ribs drop down towards your thigh? Check in with your breath. Inhale, stand all the way up. Turn your feet again. Pivot now again so you're both feet facing towards the long end of the mat. Outer edges parallel to the short edge of your mat. Both arms up, inhale. And then hinge, fold forward, exhale. So again, options here, you might have hands right under your shoulders. You might have hands on blocks. Or you might walk them back a little bit and fold in just a little more. Again, listen to your body, your back. If it feels better to keep the knees a little softer here, do that. And find again that root through your feet, so press down. And as you press down, I feel like you could draw that muscle energy from your feet all the way back up your legs so they're strong and supported. Notice where the weight is. Can you shift just a hair forward? Let your upper body get heavy so that creates a little traction along the spine. A little space. We're used to gravity and compression kind of always pulling us down. Forward folds can open up again that space in the spine, as long as they're not straining on your low back. And next, inhale, lift halfway. And then exhale, walk your hands forward. Step back, high plank. Knees up or knees down. Zip through the low belly. Hug the outer waist in. Lengthen out through the crown of the head. And smooth through your breath. Good. One more full breath in. And with your exhale, bent knees or straight legs, lower all the way down. Okay, one more in the locust pose variation. It's so good for the strength on the back side of the body. You can either keep your hands back by your sides like we did, or you might bring them out to cactus shape. Sometimes just gives a little bit more weight, so we're challenging the strength of the hair more. As you exhale, lift and tone your low belly. As you inhale, lift up through head, chest, arms. You might keep tops of your feet down or lift the legs as well. All right, as you do that, just notice where you feel some strengthening all along the back line of the body. We often feel poses differently, very differently, body to body. Stay active through your hands. I think you could press your hands down without letting them move. And then draw the shoulder blades or tops of your shoulders away from your ears. Good, take one more full breath in. And then exhale, lower all the way down. You can stack your hands and just let your hips wiggle a little bit side to side. A little freedom after the strength. And then bring your hands alongside your ribs, tuck your toes. Inhale, come back up through plank or tabletop. Exhale, downward facing dog. Okay, and then we're going to take that thumbs together variation one more time. So you can touch the tips of your thumbs or just move them in that direction. Spread wide through your hands. Lift your hips up and back. Inhale, straight and strong. Reach your right leg up. Keep your hips level, which means inner thigh rolling up. And then exhale, step. your right foot outside right hand. Bring your left knee down. And again, if you need to grab the ankle, help it along, do that. Keep your left toes straight forward and right toes, and then untuck your left toes, your back foot. Okay, like that low lunge before, a couple variations here. You might stay right here on your hands. You might put blocks under your hands for a little bit more support. Or you might come down on one or both forearms. Once you figure out where your body wants to be, squeeze your front heel towards your back knee. Right? And then keep that support, but see if you can also let the front of the hip soften. And so these hip flexors on the front of the hip, right, often work in relationship. Well, they do work, but sometimes we have a big effect of hip flexors to low back and low back to hip flexors. And creating a little space there and or a little strength there can be beneficial. We really do this with any lunge. Sometimes these knee down lunges can give us a little support to really get into the space there. And just give yourself a few breaths. Right, sensation's okay, pain is not. So if it feels painful, back out. Give yourself more support. Or just let the hips come up and back a little bit so you're not wading into the stretch as much. And then start to walk your hands back. Right, thumbs together, lift your back knee, step back, down dog. Okay, inhale, left leg up. Think about lifting from the inner thigh. It's really going to help keep the pelvis level. Really nice for our low back. And then exhale, step your left foot forward. Bring your right knee down. And then choose what you want for support here. You're going to stay up on hands or blocks under your hands or come down to your forearms. And keep your left toes forward. Yep, left toes this time. And then press the top of your right foot down and really press into the foot. See if you can feel that draw all the way up towards the hip. Give your inner legs a little squeeze to center, but let the pelvis soften. And so, especially when we're working with stuff in our low back, keeping the pelvis level and that lift of the leg, whether we're in tabletop or down dog, can be really nice for the sacrum and the low back, because we're keeping it strong and supported as we lift and step through instead of turning and twisting as we lift it through, right? Different things for different bodies, but just something to think about if you find that irritates your back at all, right? To keep the leg straight and strong as you lift, but also to keep the hips level. Sometimes that means not lifting as high. That's okay. Okay, lift your back knee, lift your hips, step back, down dog. Full breath in. And then exhale, bring your knees down. This time, keep your knees together. Untuck your toes and send your hips back. Child's pose with your knees together, or sometimes called embryo pose. Like we did at the beginning, if you want a little support behind your knees, do that. Maybe your forehead comes to the mat, maybe it comes to a block. Press into the tops of your feet. Allow your back to round as your head comes forward. Take a couple breaths to see how things feel now. And then walk your hands back. You come to a seat and then come all the way down onto your back. Once you get there, bend your knees and then walk your feet in, so you're walking your heels in towards your glutes, right? They're not probably going to get there all the way, but just in that direction. And then bring your arms by your sides. Think like robot arms. You're going to bend your elbows and turn your palms to face in towards one another. Press down through the back of your head. Press through the backs of your arms. Take a full breath out. And then as you inhale, press into your heels, lift your hips up, bridge pose. And right, depending on what feels good, they might just hover a little off the mat. Or you might start to lift hips a little bit higher. Okay, press into your heels again, and then really traction your heels back towards your shoulders. All right, see again, if we can get a little support on the back line of the body. If it feels like all the weight is rolling out to the pinky side of your foot, because that happens, press down a little bit more into the big toe mound. Good, keep pressing the back of your head down. Full breath in. And then as you exhale, bring your hips down. Take your feet out a little wider, let your knees rest together, constructive rest pose. You can just let hands rest too. Take a breath. Okay, and let's do one more round here. So walk your feet in again so they're hip width apart. Bend your elbows, full breath out. Inhale, lift hips. You might even press into the backs of your arms and snuggle your shoulders in. Balance the weight side to side on your feet, right? They might either be rolling all the way in or all the way out. Does it feel like both edges of the feet are about even? And then lengthen your tailbone towards your knees as you traction your heels back towards your shoulders. Good, one more full breath in. And then again, nice and slow as you exhale, lower your hips. Walk your feet out a little bit wider, let your knees rest together. Relax your hands. Take a couple breaths. And then draw your right knee into your chest. Stretch your left leg long. Flex your feet so your legs are active. And then roll your right leg over to the left to twist. A little bit of support might be really nice here. You could place a block, a pillow, a blanket underneath your right knee, especially if it feels like it's just really hovering far up off the mat. And your right arm out to the side. Keep your left leg a little active. You don't have to be gripping, but just engaged. And then lengthen your right hip right towards the front of your mat. So can you create more space into the side body? And then just notice where you feel the rotation in your spine and your back. Again, sensations okay, no pain. Inhale, come back to center. Bring your left knee in. Switch sides. Right leg long. Flex feet. And then left knee over to your right to twist. See if you want any support under the knee there. Sometimes side to side is even different. You can bring your left arm out to the side. And just feel that the right leg just feels active. And then lengthen your left hip. Or you think about it as lengthening the hip away from the shoulder. So you get longer from the space of your armpit to your hip. Right, you can keep your head at neutral. You can look to the right or the left. See what feels good for your neck. You can let your breath start to slow down. With your next inhale, come back to center. Bring both knees in. And you might stay here and rock side to side. Sometimes that feels really good for the low back. Or you might choose happy baby, if that's a pose that feels good in your body, feels okay in your hips today. If there's something else that your body's craving in these last just couple moments, do that. And if you've got happy baby, you can release your feet. And just give the thighs a squeeze in, your forehead a curl up towards your knees. Take a full breath in. And then exhale, Shavasana. So a couple of options, especially if your back doesn't love laying straight on the floor. You can come back to where we were in that constructive rest pose. Knees bent, feet wide, knees together. Or you might slide some support, your blocks or a blanket underneath your knees for a little bit more support. I think especially when our low backs are feeling a little off, this straight-legged Shavasana isn't always the greatest variation. So play with what works for you, what feels supportive. And then once you're all set up there, just let your body soften into that support. Your eyes can close or just get soft. Let go of any effort with breath. And just enjoy a few moments of rest. If you're ready to come out, you can start to deepen your breath. And then with an inhale, reach your arms up overhead, take a full stretch. With your exhale, bend your knees, place your feet to your mat, and then roll to your side. Help yourself all the way back up. Bring your hands together at your heart. Sit tall. Lift heart to hands. Thank you so much for sharing practice. Namaste.